say you live in your house, you work all week, and on Saturday you go for a long bike ride around the local park. Wonderful. What if I told you you could work all week and go for a bike ride 13 miles through the Grand Canyon? Well, won't you do that? And then next week we're going to go on a 10-mile bike ride through Moab, Utah. You know what? Why don't you do that?
What is the thing or things that you've had to quit in order to become successful?
I certainly had to quit
thinking it was too
the
big.
person that I was to get here.
being afraid that I was going to make mistakes. I quickly learned that the road to success is paved with failure.
Time. Would you rather have an unlimited gift card to your favorite restaurant or your favorite shop?
Restaurant.
Would you rather be a famous celebrity or be married to a famous celebrity?
I'd rather be married to one. I don't want the pressure.
Would you rather own a horse or a dog?
Dog. Yeah, a dog. Although I like a horse, but a dog.
Interesting. Welcome, guys, one more time to another episode of Successful Quitters, a podcast that highlights the things individuals have had to quit in order to become successful in their arena. Today, we have someone fabulous. Since 2019, she has been exploring the highways of the United States, covering over 36,000 miles and visiting 41 out of 62 national parks. Oh my goodness. Her adventures have taken her to 49 states, from South Florida to Alaska. And she is a CEO of a 35-year-old RV travel club dedicated to solo travelers. Welcome, Jenell Jones.
Thank you, Sarah. What a great introduction. And I have to tell you that I visited 42 state parks now, or national parks. I just knocked one out last week, Big Bend in Texas.
Very nice. I'm excited to hear about you because it's a different kind of lifestyle. And I think some people will relate, and some people that are getting ready to do that will feel more comfortable after this interview. However, I want to take us back to the beginnings of Jenell. Jenell, tell us what life was like and where were you at 5 years old?
5 years old. I love the title of your podcast, Successful Quitters, because I have been a quitter my whole life, literally. I didn't even know that until you and I talked, and I started thinking about this. I, at 5 years old, was, of course, living with my parents. We were poor. There were 6 kids, and we moved all the time. I went to 12 schools in 12 years, which down the road set me up for this life, which sounds funny, but me getting that wanderlust so early has set me up for the life I live today.
Most definitely. And how long did you usually stay at whatever you guys moved to for?
I don't remember, but I would say 1 year. We were poor, so like paid the rent until we couldn't or something. I don't know. Funny, I've never asked my mom about that. I should. My dad passed, but I should ask my mom that. But I know that, like I said, every year I went to a new school. So we must have been moving once a year.
Yeah. Who was your superhero at that time? Do you remember? Or who did you want to be like?
I had a wonderful first grade teacher. Her name was Miss Noyola. I still remember it. To this day, I think every once in a while, I should look her up. She made such a profound impact on this young, scared little girl. Our house was pretty chaotic. Like I said, 6 kids, no money, moving. I mean, it was pretty chaotic. And I remember going to first grade and just having such a great time there and loving it. And looking back, I felt comfortable and safe, and it was just fun.
What number child were you?
I was number 1. I was the one that broke the mold for my parents and paved the way from the rest of them. So by the time my mom got to like those middle kids, she was done. My mom had 4 kids in 4 years. It was quite a lot.
Oh my goodness. And it's a lot of
Yeah.
pressure also for a kid when, you're barely trying to figure out who you are, and all of a sudden they throw you another sibling.
And another one, and another one. Yes, they just kept coming. I do remember that very clearly.
Yeah. And going toward your high school times, were you a friendly person? Did you keep to yourself?
I was very shy. I didn't have a lot of self-confidence. It's hard to believe now, but I didn't have a lot of self-confidence. And again, I trace that to, growing up, of course, is where we all get it. And just my mom and dad being so pulled in so many ways, trying to feed that many kids. And, there was just only so much attention to go around. And so I was just quiet. I mean, I had one or two friends in school and just hung with them. And I had a boyfriend, of course, but I don't I don't remember we didn't get to do extracurricular activities because we didn't have the money for that, and my mom and dad couldn't push 6 kids around baseball, football practice, so we never got to do any of that.
Yeah. And how did you have an idea of what you wanted to be when you were older, when you were done with high school?
I
Where did
did.
you go?
I did, but I got people said, "You can't do that," or, "Oh my gosh, that's not reasonable. Why would you do that?" I wanted to be a cop. And the
Mm,
1 or 2 people that I mentioned that to were like, I'm like 100 pounds, 5'2", soaking wet. And so I was like, oh, yeah, I guess they're right. I can't really do that. And it wasn't until my late 20s, 27, something like that, that I was like, maybe I can do that. Maybe that is a way for me to have a career and a life that's going to feed me. And I had a child by then. And so I had a little more confidence that, like, I don't care what other people think. I'm gonna do it anyway.
yeah. How was from that around that high school time, because you had your younger siblings, did you have to lead the way? Were you close to them, or were you like, get away from me?
No, we were close. I will say the kids were close because it was like a us against the world type thing. Remember, I moved every year, so did they. And so one or two of the kids might not have had friends. One did have friend. I don't remember now, but no, we were all together. We had enough for our own baseball team. So we had plenty. We played sports in our backyard with each other teams, and teams would fight bitterly over who gets to be on whose team. And now that they're all grown, oh my gosh, it's great. We love it. If you want to go four wheeling or go shopping at a high end store, there's a brother or sister you can do it with, and everything in between.
Absolutely. I always say this, but I think children, it's a normal reaction that they start to stick together once they have to go through things. Same
Yeah,
thing happens with us immigrants. When we come to this country, it's like we have to team up in order to survive.
yeah,
So when people ask me, how come you're so close to your siblings? We had to survive together. That's why we're
yeah.
so close. We had to know each other's strengths. We had to know each other's weaknesses. That's amazing. Good for you. It's always nice to have family that supports
Mm,
you.
yeah.
And then when was it that you said, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and take a different lifestyle?
I did 26 years as a cop and retired in 2015. I was fairly young, 54, and I was suddenly free in my life. My daughter was grown. I didn't have a demanding job. I didn't have a partner. It's like, the entire world was open to me. So, what do you do when that happens? You go travel. So I packed one suitcase of cold clothes and one suitcase of warm clothes, literally. I'd sold my house. I put what belongings I had left in storage. I was homeless for about 6 months. I took $20,000 and completely blew it on traveling. I hiked the Amalfi Coast. I canoed and backpacked through the Lewis and Clark Trail. I went to France and learned about making champagne. I hung out in London for 2 weeks. I mean, I had a great life. What I missed was having my house and the fact that 20 grand sounds like a lot, but boy, it went down super quick.
Oh
So
yeah.
I realized I want to travel, but I want my stuff. And so the idea of an RV, it was way in the back of my head anyway, but once I was like free of all these other distractions, it became more and more of a reality. And so then when I got back, checked into a hotel, because remember, I have no house. I checked into a hotel and started looking at RVs, and I bought an RV. That was how this really got started.
How was downsizing from owning a home and all of a sudden, did you go through uh, moment where things were happening to where you were like, I don't want to own a home right now? Or was it the market that made you sell and be like, I'm going to be out of here? What was the motive to leave your home?
It was moving in that RV. I knew I was too young to sit at a house all day, every day, looking out the window, gardening, I don't know, sewing, cleaning house. I knew that I wanted something more than that, and I love to travel. And so I knew that is what I wanted to do. I sold the house fairly quickly, got rid of everything. I mean, I whipped through furniture, knickknacks that I've collected. The thing where I stumbled, Sarah, was my clothes and shoes. That's where I stumbled. Remember, being a poor kid, I wore hand me downs. We wore secondhand clothes. The church gave us clothes. So that's what I was used to. So when I got older and had my own money and could start shopping, clothes meant a lot to me. Shoes meant a lot because it validated to me, and I thought I need, to validate to the world that I had made it. I could buy clothes. They weren't secondhand. They were nicer clothes. I was a girl boss and I'd made it. So to get rid of that physical validation, I really stumbled on that. I had a hard time. I remember sitting in my closet. My house is empty. I'm sleeping on a mattress on the floor. My mom gave me a lawn chair so I'd have a chair to sit, the last week before the new owner took the house. But I had all this closet stuffed. I had a fascinator, for goodness sake. I wore once to a wedding. It was adorable, but I'm taking the fascinator in the RV,
Ah.
because that makes sense, right? But I really stumbled on the clothes, and I had my mom come over, and she's the one that helped me kind of see these are just a validation that you need, and you're okay. It's okay if you, in deep inside, we're our inner child, and deep inside, I was still this poor kid, the oldest of six kids, moving every year, living in trailers, and so those clothes were like that last thing to help me switch into this new life. And being a woman, Sarah, of course, we all have that one dress coat that we paid a fortune for. We don't really like it, and we don't ever wear it, but we paid a fortune, and I'm keeping it. I had a bunch of those, of course, that I had to get rid of. I don't know. I thought I should have a black dress. I thought I should keep a tan suit. I don't know why. I have none of that. I got rid of everything on it.
What's the percentage of clothes that you got rid of?
Oh, 98. And I'm not kidding you. I mean,
Nice.
I so I've been in this RV 5 years now, and I brought, one evening dress, one tan suit, one black dress, one pair of red high heels. Uh, those are gone, and I carried them around for 2 years. So I'm like, all right, I'm getting rid of this. I don't need a glittery long dress for a gala that I might go to at an RV park or a national park. So now I say I have 10 shirts, maybe 7, 8, 9, 10 pair of shorts, about 6 dresses, and a bunch of cute tennis shoes. No high heels, no suits. I think one of my dresses just happens to be black, but all that's gone. And oddly, I haven't needed red high heels since in the 5 years that I've been RVing.
Are you happier now without the clothes than you were with the clothes?
Very much so, because I go in there, and there's not 25 shirts to pick one. There's 5 shirts to pick one because the other 5 are dirty. I mean, that's it. And I do like the whole mix and match. Every shirt, every short goes with every other. So I mean, I literally just reach in. I don't even really go into what do I feel like today. I'm like that shirt, that's it. They all go together. I put them on, and they're all comfortable. Having minimal, they're all comfortable. They all fit. They don't need to be dry cleaned. It minimizes so much. And here's one more for you, Sarah, and this shocks me. I have one bathing suit. Oh, isn't that crazy? One. I don't have one for when I gain weight, when I lose weight, for the pool party, for when I want more cover. I have one. I have one bathing suit. It is so freeing having that little of clothes. So freeing.
Yeah, some of the smartest people have choose to wear the same shirt on a daily basis, the same color
Mm-hmm.
shirt, so that they
Mm-hmm.
don't have to choose and invest the time and invest that questioning, and those answers into what they're going to wear. So they're able to take advantage
Yeah.
of answers
And
better.
I realized, Sarah, after I got rid of all those clothes, the money I have spent on clothes, the money I have spent on redoing closets, to fit all these clothes, and hiring movers to move wardrobe boxes and boxes of clothes. I'm like, and the pressure and I wore this dress 2 weeks ago. I need another dress. I need to wear this dress. I mean, that was a lot. I look back, I'm like, my God, I put little labels on some of my things when I wore them so that I wouldn't wear this dress again. And I wore this to this gala and this gala and this event, so I knew not to wear it. And I would even write down so and so and so and so was there, so that if I did another gala, were they there? I mean, oh, the where did I get all the time to do that? I don't know. At the time, I liked it, but now, shoot, I'd much rather go ride my bike or kayak the Bay of Fundy in the Canadian Maritimes.
Yeah, no, most definitely. It sounds like a freeing season, a
Yes.
free lifestyle. And you mentioned trailer homes, and it made me think, do you think that living in an RV makes it feel cozier and more comfortable for you because it's like a smaller place?
Good point, Sarah. Yes. At first, no. At first, I was like, oh my God, I'm right back to where I started in my life. I live in a trailer. Just the irony was so funny. It's very different. But again, not having a lot of stuff now pared down. I don't have a storage room. I mean, I'm way pared down. I Everything in this house means something to me. I have,
Mm.
one tray. You know how we all have cute little trays and we set them around. I have one tray, but it came from Italy, a secondhand shop in Italy. I have two plates. There are two plates. They're China. They're ones I love. And when I'm sick of those, I get rid of them and I buy two more China plates. So everything means something. My bed is Belgian linen. My everything is cozy and comfortable, and I love everything in here. I don't have stuff sitting around because that little corner needs something in it. I don't have any of that.
Yeah, um it seems like the wealthy way of like a trailer park home. It seems like you're living in the wealthier, lifestyle of that kind of lifestyle, which again, maybe it just feels cozier because you lived in a smaller place before, and now it's like, okay, I feel like this is a better, more suitable place for me, but I'm comfortable. Unlike
Hmm.
before, which, you didn't have enough. Now
Yeah.
you choose to have whatever it is that you have with you.
Yes.
That
And I can afford more. I can totally afford more. But I I don't want that. I don't want the headache and the upkeep. I don't want all that. When I lived in a trailer when I was a kid, there's 8 people in a trailer. Okay, I mean, that's a lot. I don't care what kind of house you have. That's a lot. And of course, this is mine. I live solo and everything is mine in here, but the comfort and the security and the safety I feel here is just worth all of it right here. And living this fabulous life where it's a fulfilling life. I always tell people that this isn't just a fun life, it's a fulfilling life. And I don't know living in a house with a pool and a yard and a maintenance guy and I got to furnish it and I got to keep it up. I wouldn't have that fulfilling life that I have now.
most definitely. What would you say is the funnest thing about living in an RV?
The funnest thing is getting to have my stuff, but looking out of my view. Right now, I'm in Texas in Fredericksburg, so it's like wine country, and it's like cool here. Last week, I was overlooking mountains. The week before that, I was in Arizona overlooking the Chocolate Mountains. So the funnest thing is my view changes all the time. And if I don't like this view, I move to another view. I don't do hot or cold. So I get to leave when it's too hot or too cold, or I get to go where it's cooler or warmer that I want to be. That's great right there.
Most definitely. In Florida, a lot of people, when it gets cold, they go down to a warmer weather and then they go back up once the
Right.
cold is gone. You get to choose whatever you have to be at. And
Yes.
what do you eat?
What do I eat?
Yeah,
I eat normal. I'd love
but
to say
you cook there at the RV?
Oh, yeah. My RV is 36 feet. I
And
have a living room, a dining room that I'm sitting in. I have a kitchen that's behind me. I have a bedroom with a door. I have a bathroom with two doors. It's not a
that's really
small, yeah. I mean, and they're small. I started off with smaller, and that's fine. But this is, my house. And no, I cook. I've got a full size refrigerator as big as yours. I
mm,
have a fireplace. I have a central vac. I have a washer and dryer. I live a good life here. It's simple life. Simple, but a good fulfilling life. I don't have to go to a laundromat. I'm like, I'm not doing that. No, so what I eat, I'd love to say I eat real healthy, but it kind of depends. But, I think I'm going to have steak tonight, mushrooms.
yeah. And what is the longest that you've stayed at a place?
I rarely, go every year. I go to Florida and see my daughter and grandchild, and I stay there 2 months, November, December, usually. And the rest of the time, I'm traveling, and I move about a week, 10 days. Every
Hmm.
once in a while, it's like 3 weeks, but no, I move about every 1 or 2 weeks. And, I'm traveling with my RV club too. And so we go on vacation for 6 months, which we're on right now. We just started March 18th, and we're literally going to be gone March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. We're going to be gone 8 months. We're traveling from now until October, November.
And how does that work when it's with the club? You guys go following one another?
No, when you join the club, Wandering Individuals Network, you pay a one-time annual $120, nothing, and then you get access to exclusive itineraries. And so you go on there and you see the trip you want to go on, and you meet wherever you want to meet in it and stay as long as you want. And so there might be 20 of us here. I think there's about 25 of us right here. The next stop, there's going to be 33 of us because we're going to the solar eclipse. I found us a place to go. And so you know where each stop is going to be, and you show up and stay as long as you want and leave whenever you want.
That's wonderful.
Hmm.
So you created this club.
No, no. I wish I had. This club was started in 1988. We just celebrated our 36th year. Oh, today, March 28th. Today is 36 years. So 7 people, I believe it was 4 women and 3 men. I always get that mixed up. But 7 single people that was living in their RVs wanted their own little club. We've all been at the wedding with that table for 8, and there's that one empty spot. Well, all of them were single and tired of that one empty spot. And there wasn't a club for people RVing single back then at all. No, there weren't really even that many RV clubs. So they're like, you know what, we're making our own club. And so they made their own club. And this year you have to be the president. Next year, Anna, Sarah, you have to be the president. It was like that. And it's slowly but surely grown into the last guy that owned it before me. He really brought it into, it's a business, it's a paid gig, it's now a small business. And then I took it from him 1 year ago. In March, I bought it from him. And I'm trying to, now I've added social media and TikTok and YouTube and, kind of brought us up even more, and doing podcasts. He didn't even know what a podcast is. And I'm like, God, I listen to podcasts all the time. So it's a great club, and really, it's the only one like this. Other RV clubs may have a component for a solo person, but ours is strictly solo. You can be married or have a partner, but we ask that we have married people, but for whatever reason their partner can't or won't travel, and so they come travel with us. And safety in numbers.
Yeah. What's the age range you would say of the club?
Well, 60 to 74. But we definitely have some outliers. Totally have. We've got these 4 or 5 kids. We've got these, I call them kids. They're like 27, 28. That they're kind of some kind of forest ranger, kind of something, that they go work for a month in a forest and then they come out for a month. We have these forest ranger kids, and they go like work for a month and then they come out for a month and they travel with us. And I'm like, and they car camp. I'm like, good Lord, y'all don't even know how miserable y'all are car camping. They're like, what? No. And they get to eat with us, hang out with us, they hike with us. Of course, they hike 20 miles, we hike 3. But so the average age is about, it's 60, early 70s type thing. Mostly retired. We do have some people that work, but mostly are free in their life to retire. or I'm sorry, to travel because they've retired.
Yeah, and it's amazing that you guys have a club because it makes you feel that you're not alone. Was
Right.
How did you get into a club? How was it? You did it on your own first, or did you
Mhm.
start going with a club already?
No, I did RVing by myself for 2 years. I drove to Alaska, Maine, from Florida. I went all over. And it was great, and I'm single, and I'm perfectly fine on my own, but I kept Googling, single RV, people who travel on their own. I kept doing this, and I joined several clubs, and I got there and I was like, okay, well, there's 300 people here and it's me and one other girl are single. I'm like, eh. And then finally I found somehow this Wandering Individuals network. And a month later, I was driving to California to meet them. And I walked up and there was 30 of them sitting there. I'm like, I found my people. And I've been traveling with them on and off since 2019. And then, like I said, last year I bought the club.
That's amazing. Is it a lot of you have a lot of things to do to run the club,
Well,
don't
it's
you?
it's it's a small business. Yeah, absolutely. I've got to do all the bookkeeping stuff and whatever. But what I get to do for the business is I get to travel and lead the people, lead the club to the next stops. And so this
That's
8 month,
wonderful,
yes, and I get
That's
to write it
that's
off.
so fun.
Yes. Yes, it's a great I keep saying it's a great life. It's a good life. And I've got the money and paperwork and problem this and the place we're going to burned down. Now what am I going to do with 30 RVers? So it can get hairy sometimes. Luckily, 50-60% of the people that travel in the club have been here a long time and they're very experienced RVers. So I can go to them and say, hey, our next stop burned down. Give me some ideas. What can we do to put 30 RVs somewhere? And I don't know, 15 minutes, we've got someplace else to go because they know where we can go and what we can do. It's real nice.
So here's a question that I bet a lot of people have, and is being an RV traveler, living in an RV, where do you get your mail?
Oh, that's so funny. Everybody wants to know that and prescriptions, which are so not the issue. It's the hair. The hair is the problem. The hair and the face. Mail, you have an address. There's services. Your mail gets sent there, and then you email them and say, "Hey, here's an address. Send me all my mail." And they'll even scan it for you. I'm like, "Ooh, that's from the government. Open that and scan that. See if I'm getting audited or something." Knock on wood. And then prescriptions, you just have them at a Walmart, and then Walmarts are everywhere. And fortunately, I don't take prescriptions, but that's no big deal. The real problem is your hair, getting the hair done. Because, we all have our favorite person we go to. And then when you're on the road, you're in Missouri or you're in California. And how do you know who's good and who's where to go to and to get in? And that's the problem. And then, I like to get facials and stuff. And I don't know where to go for that. So I just have to have a crapshoot. And most of the times it's great. Sometimes it's like, well, that was $150 wasted.
Yeah. And do you use any apps for traveling
Yes,
outside?
yeah, absolutely. I used to use a ton of apps, but right now I use RV Parky. That is a mapping app that you can put in A to B, and I don't care if it's from Fort Lauderdale, Florida to Skagway, Alaska, and it'll build it for you, and then you can click, hey, I want to stay in Walmart's, I want to stay in campgrounds, or whatever, and it'll show you here's one all along your way, and then you can go in and fine tune it. It takes a minute to learn, but that's the key right there. I use an app to find where I can dump my black and gray water. I use I use Spotify a lot because I love podcasts. That's like my number one app, I would think, but not as much as I used to use. I like Harvest Host. I use Harvest Host a lot. That's an app that I like for my personal travel. And there's more, but right off the top of my head, those are the three that I go to the most.
And what about internet service? Do you use anything special for internet service, or do you have the regular
Mm-mm.
connection?
I have Starlink. I have
Okay.
Starlink, the Elon Musk thing that works great, and I have no issues with that. And Yeah, I have internet. I'm telling you, Sarah, I live exactly like you do. I just
Yeah.
live it in different places, which you're not the first one to kind of like, well, how do you do this? How do you do that? People do it. They don't know, but I live exactly the same, just my view changes. That's it.
And
I live
that's the beauty about being able to share this, because like we said before, there might be people thinking, I love to travel, but then I have a home and I always have to come back to this place.
mhm.
What
Mhm.
can I do? Can I have a regular lifestyle if I'm on the road in an RV? And this kind of guides them to understand that they can still have a normal lifestyle. It's like
Totally.
there's availability for everything.
Oh, listen, instead of okay, say you live in your house, you work all week, and on Saturday you go for a long bike ride around the local park. Wonderful. What if I told you you could work all week and go for a bike ride 13 miles through the Grand Canyon? Well, won't you do that? And then next week we're going to go on a 10-mile bike ride through Moab, Utah. You know what? Why don't you do that? And we do have people work, accountants for sure. They still do people's taxes or keep their books or whatever. If I knew what I know now, I would have done this years ago. And I've
Yeah.
run into some families with little kids, they're homeschooling them. We were at Kitty Hawk, where they did the first airplanes. And there was these three kids sitting there doing paper. It looked like homework. And I got to talk with the mom. She's like, yeah, we live in an RV. We homeschool them. And this week we're doing aviation. And so we came here so that the kids see Kitty Hawk and write about it and listen to the movies. And that was their homework that day. I
Awesome.
was like, I wish I'd have done that with my kid. I wish I'd have done this life years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, most definitely. And for people that are barely gonna get on the road, what do you recommend as far as an RV? What is the year that you would say at least have it be this old at the most? What was the first thing they should look at?
There's several things you need to there's three or four basic RVs. A class A, which is like a bus, think of it like a bus. A class C, which is kind of like the truck with the thing over the top and it's long. Then you have a camper truck, and that's the kind with just a regular pickup truck, and the shell sits over it and it's small and short. And then you have a van. So the first thing is to narrow down which one you want. That of those four, and there's others. There's a fifth wheel that real big and attaches in the bed of the truck. There's a bunch of those. There's that as well. The first thing you need to do is which one of these do you want to look at? And I tell people that you YouTube, yes, but the YouTube RV living, YouTube, or go on Instagram and look at class A's, class B's, because then they tend to, especially on YouTube, they tend to say, hey, we had this problem today. We had this problem. Here's a funny video of our thing breaking. And so it helps you get used to, okay, can I deal with that or can I not deal with that? And then the high emissions diesel thing came into in 2010. And so I always tell people get before if you're going to buy used, get before 2010. Otherwise you're having to put that def stuff in all the time, and just another pain in the rear end thing you have to do that you don't need to do. You can get around that by buying pre 2010 RV, and there's plenty out there, and that's not old in RV life, in the RV world.
Which kind did you start with?
I started with a travel trailer, the kind you just pull behind, and it was 21 feet. And that's what I started with. And then I got rid of that. And then I went to a class C. And that's the one I call that my starter RV, because I drove that to Alaska. I drove it all over the United States. I wrecked it. I hit a McDonald's building. I faced a moose. A moose was in my way and would not move. And at first that's funny and cute, but after a while it's like, okay, you need to move. And I couldn't get it to move. But that RV I did everything to. But I knew I wanted bigger. It was only like 20 feet, and that wasn't big enough. So I knew I wanted bigger, and I have this one now that's 36 feet, and it's like the bus that we talked about.
Yeah, which has everything.
Mm-hmm.
What talking about the moves and all that good stuff, what are the challenges, because you drive a lot? So what
Mm-hmm.
are the challenges that you face on the road?
Number one is gas prices. Gas is my big problem. Not problem, it's a challenge. That's another. I have some gas apps. So I try to look at, where I can get gas. And remember, just because the price is cheapest doesn't mean I'll fit in the gas station. So gas is a whole thing I got to deal with. So the gas is the issue and then is a challenge. And then really my other challenge is where to go. Because when you have a house on wheels and you can go literally anywhere, it's hard to pick where to go. Now, 5 years in, I'm fine. The first year, mostly what you do is your bucket list stuff. I've always wanted to see the Grand Canyon. I've always wanted to see Niagara Falls, and I did every bit of that. Then after that first year, you're like, huh, okay, I've already been to Niagara Falls. Am I just going to go back there and hang out in that state? So join an RV club. And then you realize, oh, I went to Niagara Falls or I went to Bar Harbor, Maine and saw the ocean. But now going with the RV club, I know where to find lobsters that's right on the dock that you buy from the fishermen for $10. Then you get to learn really and truly instead of just going and seeing the ocean. Yeah, we see the ocean one day, but there's also bike rides, hiking, and lobsters that you can get. And we know how to we know where to go to get all that.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
It
That you
is.
get to see everything that you want to go see.
Yep,
I
and
have a
more.
sister that is in love with traveling.
Mhm.
And this sounds like such a great idea. Do you ever travel with people? Like, do you ever have your daughter or your grandkids travel with you, or is it always solo?
I've had my grandson and granddaughter come with me once, but and it was just for a weekend because they're in school, and I'm
Yeah.
in Florida that whole 2 months, and I'm in school, or they're in school. But yeah, they've each went with me, but my daughter, no, because she wants her own bed and all that too. And remember, I'm going for months, so they can fly in. My sister-in-law flew in one time to Bar Harbor, Maine, and hung out for a week with me and flew back. But no, it's mostly just like living alone. I mean, when's the last time your sister or brother came and spent the night or spent a week with you? You know, they will, but not really.
For sure. Everyone has their own lives and things going
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
And how safe is it for a woman? What has it been a challenge being a woman on your own? Because you are part of the club and you get to meet people where they are, but you travel a lot on your own. And I would think that safety would be a thing. How safe is it out there?
Yeah, and I appreciate you asking that. That comes up a lot. Us women already know to keep our head on a swivel and look around and watch our surroundings. We know all that, and we know that guy looks weird to me, or for whatever reason, if he's not or whatever. Same with this. I don't put myself in dumb situations. I have twice, and it was fine, but I was scared both times. I realized this is your own fault for doing this. I drove too far and just pulled over at a abandoned warehouse thingy. It was abandoned furniture store. And I get up the next morning and I'm like, oh my goodness, I was in a very rough neighborhood. And, it was a liquor store, check cashing place, liquor store. People were sitting there on the crates looking at me and fine. It was no problem. But that's a rookie mistake I made that it could have not been fine, but I feel safe in this RV. They would have to have my windows are so high, they would have to have a crate or a step stool to get up in the windows. My door, they could get it open, but they'd have to have a crowbar. And I feel like I would hear all that, them coming in. I feel very safe in this RV. I safer than a home where you've got all those windows and windows across the house that you might not hear them breaking and opening the lock. I feel much safer in here.
Yeah. Do you ever stop at rest areas?
Hmm. Oh yeah, totally.
Or,
Oh,
uh,
absolutely. I stop in rest areas and spend the night. Oh yeah, I've done truck stops a couple of times. Don't do them often because number one, they need to be for the truckers who's bringing our food, and number two, it's very loud and they come in and out and in and out, at all hours of the night. Whereas a rest area, you can get on the end, buckled in, and then the trucks line up beside you as the night go, but you've only got that one truck on either side of you. And I don't know, I just feel safer there. And especially if you're just going A to B, it's a great place to stop. And it's
yeah,
free.
yeah. Do you have for yourself, do you have a time frame that you drive in? Or is it any time? Because you can drive at any time, but is there a time frame that you do drive and that you suggest?
I tell when you first start, you drive 6 and 8 hours a day. You just, we're on that vacation mentality. I got 1 day to drive 800 miles. No, you don't. Now I drive 3, 4 hours and I pull over, whether I'm going to a destination or, stopping at a rest area or a park or whatever to spend the night. No, I don't kill myself anymore. It's 3 or 4 hours. And then you like to stay a day or two. Now, just going point A to B on a rest area, no, you keep moving. But if I'm parking somewhere in a park or a national forest or campground, I like to stay at least 2 days so that I can stop traveling, walk around, do a hike, do a bike ride, move around a little bit, and then start up again. And I'm in no hurry. Where do I got to be? I'm in no hurry. I want to see, even if it's some small little town, I want to see what it's like. We were just in Marfa, Texas, which is a teeny, teeny town in Texas that is full of artists. And we were going to do one night there. We ended up doing 3 because it was just so neat. It was and there was, I don't know, 4 restaurants and 4 stores, but it was just a great place to stop. And so we're like, hey, I changed my mind. I'm staying a couple nights.
That's nice. It must be
Mm-hmm.
nice.
It is nice.
What are there any RV rentals?
Mm-hmm.
Is that
There
a
are.
normal thing?
Yeah,
Are there
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Sarah. There sure is. That's a great way to get started. Or even just do your vacation. Instead of flying to somewhere, why don't you do a drive? It's easier with the kids, as far as the food situation and them sleeping. And if you map out something, we have people that are in my club that so that they can see where we're going. And, when we have a trip going, we only drive maybe this drive here was 50 miles. We leave Tuesday and go 23 miles. So we don't go a long way. And sometimes we do, but for the most part, we keep it very simple like that. So we have people that will join us, rent an RV. They've joined the club, rent an RV, and then they say, oh, look, they're going to be in Fredericksburg and then Harper and then Marfa. So, they come and travel with us for those 2 weeks, have their vacation, turn the RV back in, and they're done.
And when they return the RV, they have to return it to the same place, or is it like a U-Haul where you can leave it where you ended up at, you know?
Depends on which one you rent. And if you
Mm.
go to Wandering Individuals Network and look on the travel tab, I've got an RV right there. It says Nita RV. And I partnered with this company because I've rented from them before. I like how they are. They're getting bigger, but they started off as a mom and pop, and I like that. You can call and get a person on the phone, and it's just I didn't want to attach my name in a 36-year-old club to something that I didn't feel comfortable with. So you can rent an RV right there and travel with us.
What is the pro of joining Wandering Individuals Network?
The pros outweigh the cons by far. The pros are number one, exclusive trips that you don't have to. You go from Florida to Alaska. That's 30 stops, and I'm not joking. And all you got to do is click a button and you can see it right there, depending on where we go. We're fixing to go to Cabo, for instance. So you got exclusive trips that aren't anywhere else. And number two, or maybe this should be number one, you have friends, companions. When you live this life, it's a good life. But where do you meet friends? I mean, because you don't go to work anymore. You're not in a bowling league. You're not in a sewing club or I don't know, whatever, gardening club, whatever people join and have friends. You don't have all that. And so you have and so you get friends with us and you have a like-minded community. We don't think you're crazy for buying a 36-foot RV and driving across the country and getting everything you own. We're like, Sarah, why wouldn't you do that? We think you're the weird one. We're the ones that have the life. And so it's it's that like because when you start this life, not everybody's going to be for it. Your family is going to be like, are you all right? My mom set me down. I'm 60 years old. My mom set me down. Are you all right with your money? Do you need some money? I'm like, mother, I'm fine. So it's a like-minded community, which helps you in the beginning when you're afraid, a very, very anxiety to get rid of your stuff. And not everybody does, but if you go that route. And then fourth, and very important, there's safety. It's a lot safer traveling with friends and people and know when you get to the next stop and there are people there, you don't have to look around and go, is this safe? Am I all right? You're fine. You're with us. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of pros to joining the club.
So basically, you join a family.
You do. You do. Now, I'm not going to say that you're going to like every single person, but I bet you like 99% of them. And there's enough people that, if you don't get along with Fred over there, you can just not sit by Fred or be over there. Just like at your work. You like everybody, but there's that one weird guy we all have in IT. Aren't they usually in IT? We No offense to the IT people out there, but you have that weird guy that you don't really like. You just stay away from him. Same with this. And there's plenty of people to do stuff with, so it's not an issue.
What do you guys do for the holidays?
Well, for Easter, that's coming up right now, we are having a big potluck dinner. We're getting hams and doing a big potluck dinner. And we are going to decorate Easter hats because none of us have done that since we had our kids. And we're going to have an Easter egg hunt because as adults, when's the last time you went on an Easter egg hunt? You've done it for your kids. You've done that, but we're going to do that. We're going to celebrate Thanksgiving in Mexico. Christmas will be in California. I don't know. That's the main holidays there. But no, we have or you go back to your family. A lot of people go home to their kids or whatever. But for the ones that don't, or they go every other year, we have Christmas, we have Thanksgiving, we have a Thanksgiving dinner, a Christmas dinner, or Easter dinner. You're going to be sitting at a table. We're going to be sitting outside overlooking a beautiful view and having 30 people there that you didn't have to cook for 30 people or set the table for 30 people. We're going to stuff the Easter eggs today. We're going to set the table Saturday. It'll be beautiful. We're going to have fresh flowers. The whole, just like you, just like everybody else.
Mm.
It's just a different view. And then we're going to leave this view and go to the next one and do the solar eclipse.
Yeah. Is it a thing? Because you were saying some people will go back home to family. Is it a thing to rent a space? Let's say that you are in Texas where you're at. Are there places where you can rent the space, the parking space, where you can leave your RV, take a plane, go back to your family, and come back to get the RV and continue on your way?
Yes, yes. But when you learn a little bit, you will look to see where we're going. Like, for instance, we're staying in this place in Fredericksburg for 8 days. So if you needed to fly back, you would fly back the first day or two we're here, go see your family, leave your RV right here, parked with the rest of us. Get back before we leave. I've done it. I was in Utah and flew to Florida for my granddaughter's graduation, high school graduation. And then you come right back, get your RV, go to the next stop with everybody else, and we just keep an eye on your RV where you're gone. But yes, there's places you can rent for short-term rental, of course. Yeah, in America, anything's for sale or rent.
Yeah, that's wonderful. It seems so easy
Hmm.
to live this life and to transition, and it's wonderful to know that there are clubs that can actually support you within this transition
Yeah.
into a more free lifestyle. I love
It,
it.
and that's a good way to put it, Sarah. I haven't used that term before, but it is support. It really is, especially at the first when you are so new and you know how to drive that RV, sorta, but you don't know like how to leave the RV and fly home to your granddaughter's thing. Like that's a tip I picked up from being in the club. The learning curve is reduced dramatically when you are traveling with like minded people that already know how to do pretty much everything. That I don't care if your tire has fallen off, you've wrecked, caught on fire, faced a moot, whatever it is, somebody in this club has done it, and here's how they got through it. It's a wonderful subculture that we belong to.
Yeah, one of the things that the internet, social media, and all that good stuff gives us, provides us with, is the availability to coaching.
Yeah.
So the way I see your club is it's support, but it's also coaching, which
Mm.
minimizes the times you're gonna fail on your own. If
Mm-hmm.
something goes wrong, then like you said, there's someone that will have the answer that will help you get through it, rather than you having to learn the hard way.
Yeah.
So that's nice, and it sounds very appealing. Jenell, what is a thing or things that you've had to quit in
Mm.
order to become successful at life?
I love this. I love the name of this podcast too, because nobody wants a quitter, but how about a successful quitter? How awesome. I had to quit lots of stuff. As I told you, I've been a quitter since day one. Some really stupid mistakes I've done quitting too soon, but the dramatic impact of my life, I would say, is quitting thinking I had to live in a house, until I died. I'm 60 now, so what I got, 30 years, 20 years of being able, hopefully, to be able to go. So I had to quit thinking that that's the only option for, a woman of a certain age. I had to quit the fear of doing something different. You have to decide, I'm not going to be afraid of this. I'm not going to give in to the anxiety. So I had to quit feeling guilty of the bond that I have with my daughter and granddaughter and grandson, that I'm not there for them every week, which I never was before. But I had to get over that guilt that I was afraid I would have, and I did have, still do have, really. And so I'm learning to quit that. Of I need to be there for them. I'm I'm 1,200 miles away from them. They're fine, but there's a lot of mental things, if you will, that I had to quit to have this successful life that I have now. And like I said earlier, I wish I'd have done this years ago. My life would have been different.
Hmm. Good for you. I appreciate you sharing so much information and giving us all these golden nuggets for those people that are ready to go. I'm excited for you and in this Easter celebration.
Yes.
Um, and where can people find you, Jenell?
Well, I'm on all the social media stuff, and I'll send you some stuff for your show notes. But Wandering Individuals Network is our website. My Instagram is at Wins RV Club. And then we've got a big, good Facebook group, Wandering Individuals Network. And they can email me. Everything on the website comes right back to me. If you hit join here or contact, it all comes back to me. So I'd be glad to talk to any of your people. But also, I have a free webinar coming up that I'd like to invite your listeners to, completely free. And it'll be in the show notes. But it's about how to get started in this RV life. And it's just me telling people the things I've learned, how I got started, don't make these mistakes, how to come up with a trip. I'm going to talk about what it costs to live in an RV. This isn't a retirement option that is available easily for people, especially on a fixed income. You can live this life. So I encourage you, come to the free webinar that's coming up.
Jenell, you're wonderful. I appreciate you so much for being here. Thank you. Thank you for your time and all the knowledge. And I look forward to sharing this with our audience so that they can be guided and feel stronger about their decision.
Thank you, Sarah. And for once in my life, I'm so happy to tell somebody I quit something and it was successful and it was great. I wish you much luck on your podcast. I love it. You've got something going here that's really important for people to help get that mindset of quitting is not always a bad thing. And I appreciate that about you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your words. And thank you guys for watching another episode of Successful Quitters. My name is Sara Nunez Bee, and I will see you on the next one.